Good morning and welcome to our masterclass today, Access to Agricultural Exports, Export Markets. We are delighted to host you today. I am Terry Kinyua, the Chief Operations Officer of Invest in Africa. Delighted that you could join us today. I'd like to just briefly set the context and introduce to you our speaker of the day, and then we'll be ready to proceed. We would like to start by introducing Invest in Africa for those who are not familiar with us. We are a private sector partnership initiative, and what we mean by partnership initiative is that we are an organization of networks. We have corporate partners, we have SMEs such as yourself, we have financial institutions, development partners such as donors, and all of us together are driving economic growth to create jobs by catalyzing your growth. So we are focused on SME development. We are working with a vision of prospering African economies, and we do this by empowering you as an SME to trade and do business with large corporates by making sure that you are able to access the skills you require to provide the quality that is required, and also to make sure that you have access to market, you understand where the opportunities and the tenders are, and by linking you to finance to be able to deliver to your contracts. We are working with a very ambitious target, which is why we work with partners. We want to create at least 1 million jobs by the year 2025. And the way we are going about this is making sure we are linking you to contracts of at least $1 billion by the year 2025. So our interventions, we intervene on 3 levels. First, by accessing to skills, which this is one of the avenues that we are undertaking. So far, we have trained about 1,000 SMEs with our business linkage program and over 2,000 with this SME recovery and survival series that we are doing in partnership with Mastercard Foundation. We have also built a unique technological platform called Biashara.now, where we post tenders and other opportunities for you. And we have registered over 4,000 SMEs there. So we would like to see you registered. If you're not registered, ask us how at the end of this masterclass, so that you also have sight of market opportunities that can be able to support your business as you recover. To visit our Biashara.now, we have put a link at the top highlighted in yellow. You can see it, www.biasharanow.com. Our third intervention is access to finance. We work with financial institutions and other funders to facilitate finance for you. And so far, we have facilitated over 5.8 million just this year alone. That is in dollars, so 580 million Kenya shillings. So this masterclass for today is part of a program that we are actually delivering in partnership with Mastercard Foundation, and it's called SME Recovery and Resilience Program. We are undertaking 5 main activities in Ghana, in Senegal, and in Kenya. So what we are doing here in Kenya is being replicated in 2 of our other markets. The first activity is masterclasses, such as this one, and we tailor this to the needs of the SMEs. So we have done a number of surveys to just understand which areas and topics would you like us to address and bring experts to speak to you about. And one of the ones that was emerging was actually how do you access export markets for agribusiness entrepreneurs, which is why we have this masterclass today. The second activity is through business coaching, where SMEs are supported in 5 one-on-one sessions to develop and implement very practical and personalized plans towards their recovery and building resilience. So that is already underway. But beyond what we are doing with this program, we have partnered with International Coach Federation, ICF Kenya, who will be supporting an additional SMEs with any coaching needs you will need, within very friendly rates for you. So please, if you're interested in that coaching and being linked to ICF, we invite you to join us on the 18th of November this month at the same time, 11 a.m. to meet with ICF and hear our masterclass, and at the same time register your interest. We are also in third activity undertaking peer-to-peer mentorship circles, where we are putting SMEs to hear from their own peers. So masterclasses and coaching are delivered by experts, but peer-to-peer is actually hearing from an entrepreneur like you, understanding the entrepreneurship journey and what they've been through. And next week, Tuesday at 11 a.m., we are going to have 2 SME mentors speaking to us about leading through a crisis. So we welcome you to express your interest to us and join us on that day to hear more about how our other business leaders like you of small and medium enterprises navigating this season, tapping into the opportunities, navigating the challenges, and actually being able to thrive despite the season. So we look forward to you joining us next week on Tuesday for our next peer-to-peer mentorship circle. Our fourth activity is the Knowledge Academy, which is a virtual resource center that we have built with best practice, very quick reference guides on popular topics for the season. So again, we'll share a live link at the end of the session for you to be able to go to our Knowledge Academy and just refer to best practice of the season. Then our fifth activity is access to finance. So we are undertaking finance facilitation. We have an investor readiness program that SMEs are going through. It is at no charge, brought to you in partnership with Mastercard Foundation. And to actually be a part of this, where you will receive some training, coaches or business development consultants to actually help you put together your finance facilitation request, and a negotiator to help link you with the finances that are available in the market at the moment. Write to felistas.sang@investinafrica.com, or you can write to me at terry.kinyua@investinafrica.com. But we look forward to hearing from you, and we would like to walk with you this journey to make sure that you are recovering and building back better in order to be able to sustain jobs and create new jobs for our country. Now, focusing a bit on today's masterclass, we have created this masterclass with the following objectives. First is for us all, for you to understand the key agricultural export markets, which are these that are available to you to tap into. Again, to understand what are the requirements, what are the procedures for you to acquire export licenses and permits, for you to begin then to leverage on these agricultural export markets which are available. And our third objective is just to understand the basic regulations required. So understand where the markets are, what are the requirements and procedures to get you started to leverage on this market, and what are the basic regulations that you need to keep in mind. And to bring to us the session, I am delighted to introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Apollo Ogwor. Mr. Apollo is the chairman of Fresh Produce Exporters Association of Kenya. He's currently the board chair, and he's also a director at COLIA, which is the European, African, Caribbean, Pacific Liaison Committee. This is an international association of companies and experts who are committed to sustainable agriculture. He's also a board member on Waitrose Foundation Kenya. He has served previously in many other organizations in different capacity within the agricultural sector, largely in the private sector. His experience spanning 2.5 decades, a quarter of a century, 25 years experience. So we are really in good hands today. Academically, he's a holder of a Bachelor of Science degree in Agricultural Economics from the Egerton University, with additional training on British Agrochemical Standards Inspection Scheme. We are delighted and very honored to be joined by Mr. Award today, and we look forward to the session. Welcome, Bwana Apollo. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much, Terry, for your very kind introduction. I'm very humbled, and thank you for the invite. I'm sure we'll be we'll take you through a very interesting journey in what agendas that you have set in place. Right. So to just start us off, I'll basically give you a scope, what we intend to do, and just how to outline the steps that are followed for any business to comply with the administrative and statutory requirements of in Kenya as an exporter or a dealer in fresh produce and veg. So we'll give various illustrations and the processes and how to work with the various agencies to meet the requirements for export. I'm sure most of you are aware that the horticulture sector has seen immense growth in the recent years and rapid growth coupled with dynamic market requirements, which have led to various challenges, especially I'm sure where we involve in inadequate information and ineffective dissemination of available information on export and import certification procedures, leading to slow adoption and implementation at various action points in the value chain. So in this view, we have developed just as a few very key requirements that would provide information and guidelines for anyone willing to participate. And then this will definitely give you an outline on the processes that is required to deal with the respective national requirements. The agencies that we deal with in Kenya are the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Horticulture Crops Directorate, the Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Services, and the Pesticide Control Products Board. Those are the main agencies in Kenya that we deal with as far as horticulture exports are concerned. And therefore, for anyone to participate in this, you definitely at one point or the other be able to interact with any of these agencies. To be an exporter, one definitely has to register, the certain procedures that are required. So I'll take you through what it entails to be an exporter. Anyone intending to export shall be required to register with the relevant authorities. So that means you must have a registration certificate. You must you must express intent for export in horticulture plants and plant products. And the first point of contact will be the Horticulture Crops Directorate, where you'll have to go and obtain an export license. An applicant has to submit some application forms to the authority. That is, and this you can access through the Agriculture and Food Authority, which is the acronyms are AFA, AFA, and you can access that through the website, and then or go straight to the Horticulture Crops Directorate offices at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And you will require the following documents to submit for application. One needs a certified copy of a certificate of business registration from the Registrar of Companies. One needs a copy of KRA PIN, certified copies of memorandum and articles of association, copies of identity cards of all directors, and a copy of a valid passport and work permits if directors are foreigners. Documentary evidence from overseas client that you are ready to start exports, knowledge of the requirements of the overseas market, business permit from the county government, and a certified tax compliance certificate. So those would be requirements that would be presented at HCD in order to obtain for them to start the process of validating you and assessing the capacity for you to be an exporter. Upon submitting this document, HCD shall carry out a vetting of the applicant as per the technical requirements, which include but are not limited to farm inspection, the pack house inspection, and traceability systems. And at this point, the applicant has to pay prescribed fees for licensing and cess deposit upon approval. So this would be the key requirements that would be put in place from the to HCD. The other agency is called the Kenya Plant Inspectorate Service, and the requirement for export the requirements for export registration, an applicant shall apply in writing to MD KEFIS. The application shall be accompanied by the HCD the HD license and clearance from other relevant agencies, certified copies of company registration certificate, KRA PIN, copies of identification documents of the directors, signed contract with the growers where applicable, and details of physical location of farms, preferably GPS, the crops under production, acreage, and market destination as indicated in with the forms that will be provided. The applicant will pay an prescribed application. A system audit shall be conducted covering food safety and phytosanitary compliance depending on the product, and feedback given within 10 working days. So upon receipt of the application, a system audit shall be conducted covering food safety and phytosanitary compliance on the product, and feedback will be given in 10 days. Then one will be able to access what is called the electronic certification system, and a training will be conducted, upon which one now has the access to get phyto. So those are the steps that one is able to get through export license from HCD, and then now access to electronic certification system through KEFIS. Those would be the critical criteria within this process. Now, once one is has managed all this, now the assumption is you have the product and you're ready to export. An exporter will submit an online inspection request via the electronic certification system, specifying the inspection zone. So if you are doing your zone is in Nairobi, you can say JKIA Airport or at a park house, which is within the area of operation where inspectors are able to access and submit requests. Upon submitted the request, the inspection document will be verified at designated zones. Here, the reason for doing that is that product will be sampled for inspection, and the following factors are usually considered during this inspection. These are the phytosanitary risk of produce presented as determined, and the number of composition of lots to be inspected are specified. Each lot must be inspected as a distinct, identifiable, homogeneous group of articles dependent on 1, the origin, the grower, the packing facility, species, variety or grade, exporter, integrity of the lot, objective of the inspection, practical operation, limitation, treatment at origin, and type of processing. So the critical things that is highly looked for by KEFIS are usually which are stipulated within the law is number 1, packaging. Packaging material shall be intact and clearly labeled to capture the following information. When exporting, the packaging used, those are your cartons, your boxes, and everything has the following information. The produce within that, on the packaging, it must have the Produce of Kenya logo. Usually, this you can see from the can be seen in if you are able to see from most export packages, all the product is labeled Produce of Kenya, and then it also has to identify the exporter. So the name of the exporter has to be on the logo. Then the type of produce, whether it is if you are exporting beans, fresh beans. If you are exporting snow peas or sugar snaps or mangoes or avocados, those ones have to be identified. The size of the consignment, so if it is a 2 kilo box or a 3 kilo box or whichever, the size of that packaging. The quantity, quality, and the category class. Most of the products usually from Kenya, if it's vegetables, they are considered class 1 products. This will be presented to the inspectors, and the inspector will have a visual examination of the product in order to ensure that the produce is free from the following. The product is free from pests and pest damages. The product is free from superficial visual chemical deposits and chemical damage. Is free from excessive moisture and any regulated articles or foreign material and physiological disorders. Upon that compliance, the consignment is passed ready for export. The phytosanitary certificate will then be issued and should be issued, and the document verification done to ascertain accuracy. If the documents vary, the exporter is notified for correction at the point of inspection. And in any case of any non-conformance, the consignment will be rejected. Now, rejection takes place as follows. When produce fails to comply with prescribed regulation and market requirements, it is rejected. The entire lot from which the sample was drawn will be withdrawn from the market. The rejected cartons in the same lot shall be removed from inspection area and stored in a designated rejected the produce area and the exporter or his agent is contacted for a decision to withdraw the rejected product from the export product line. And a rejection notice is raised and with the following details: type of produce, quantity and reason for rejection, name of exporter, and remarks. So this would be if in the event of any dispute on the inspection outcome, the exporter may raise and appeal and pays for inspection fees, and another inspector shall be assigned to perform a new inspection in the presence of the disputing inspector and the exporter to determine a second opinion within 24 hours. And the outcome of the inspection will be final. Now, when we export products outside, once the product has left the Kenyan borders and reaches and touches the destination markets, there are again certain regulatory frameworks within those export destinations that we have to comply with. Now, usually, these are what is called currently in the current domain called interception. And the common causes of interception are whether there is document non-conformance, and usually due to inadequate additional declaration. For example, if I'm exporting herbs or I'm exporting products and I've not provided the additional documentation, then the product can be intercepted. And inaccurate information or forgery. Then the other thing is presence of harmful organisms. Harmful organisms include organisms that are considered quarantine organisms, such as if you're exporting herbs, they'll be looking at products like organisms like leaf miner, whitefly, aphids, thrips. If you're exporting products like chilies, they look for false codling moth. If you are exporting avocados, they look for fruit fly. So all these various regions have various quarantine products, and those would be some of the products that the inspector at the destination market will again verify that your produce is free from those harmful organisms. And the third cause of common interception is the exceedance of what is considered currently called exceedance of maximum residue limit. And the maximum residue limit is a maximum allowable level of pesticide presence or crop protection product presence on your product. And this is usually tested. This is tested at lab level. So currently in Kenya, part of the interception is on beans, which is now being put through a 10% sampling level. So all the 10% of beans that is being shipped from Kenya is subjected to what is called 10% sampling for tests. And through this, they've been able to come up with various products that either have been withdrawn in the market in the EU or products that have exceeded the limits. And this is causing quite a bit of concern in the market. Now, how do you handle these interceptions? In Kenya, how interceptions are handled is either your ECS, your electronic certification access, is blocked by the issuing authority, which is KEFIS. The exporter is then supposed to prepare and submit the root cause analysis, corrective action plan, and communicate this to the MD of KEFIS. The exporter applies for a farm systems audit, and the application is processed, and an inspector assigned the audit. So all that, as soon as one then is able to meet the entire criteria for this, the reinstatement of an ECS will be dependent on one's ability to meet the criteria upon which they were able to facilitate the corrective actions issues on the interception. If one has an issue with regard to phytosanitary certificate, then again that is handled through the authorities at KEFIS. Now, usually, KEFIS, for any new applicants, the agency will carry out what is called a food systems audit to ascertain that there are key requirements that have been attained, which are traceability, social issues, environmental aspects have all been attained. And then the critical aspect is to guarantee pest management plan. Now, there will be certain requirements for documents and policies and procedures that are required at the farm. Verifiable practice of what one does and intends to do to guarantee all the risks that have been identified have been put in place. So all this will be able to find them within the manual that we have prepared. And then food farm inspections are usually carried out by the Horticultural Crops Development Authority, and they would do either a systematic examination of relevant information and records at the farm level and on-site farm inspections, and then pre-arranged face-to-face meetings. All these are the relevant criteria to be able to attain in order for one now to hit the exports market. Now, when we look at agricultural or horticulture exports, the key products that we export in Kenya are crops like we have legumes, the fresh beans, we call them Kenya green beans. We have peas, that is munch 2, snow peas, sugar snaps, garden peas. We export broccoli, baby corn, fruit. We export avocados and other new types of fruits, the soft fruits like strawberries, raspberries, and the like. So we have quite a wide range of products that are exported. Our markets are in the European Union, which takes about 95% of the entire product that Kenya pushes through in the exports business. We have Middle East and recently the Far East areas like Hong Kong are coming into the market. And so we have had this sort of niche that is coming up. We are currently negotiating with the US for entry into the American market, but there is still yet to be done what is called a pest risk analysis to ascertain that products from Kenya can comply with the regulatory requirements for the US product. Those would be our key markets. At regional level, we haven't gained a lot of footing. But markets are concerned, we are very strong in the European markets and the Middle East and the Far Eastern markets. Those would be the kind of niche that we are looking at. There are new products that are being established at the moment that would be interesting in the marketplace due to, especially right now, with the relationship that the West has with China. So products like sweet potatoes, ginger form a very key scope for Kenya to start looking at and develop further. One of the critical things that we need to understand is that Kenyan products, especially the veg, most of the veg are air freighted, and a bit of fruits are all flown by air, and we have a very small volume of veg, hardly any veg that goes through by sea. So we are getting a lot of competition from West Africa and Latin America on the overall delivery of capacity from this end. So value addition tends to be our clear headroom to be able to attain and to secure our markets accordingly. So this would be the criteria that we have, and the markets that we have, and the product range that we seek. So I think I would be able to pretty much think that I have put together some procedures and processes for any SMEs that would be interested to get into the exports market. I think I've tried to summarize a lot of what is required, and we should be able to present this within West Africa, and so you can have access to a document that presents or highlights the entirety of what we're looking at. I think Terry, I've quite covered the agendas and the objectives for what you've set, and so I think I will be able to end there, and then if you can take it up from there with either if there's any questions or any interventions, I'll be very happy to respond. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Apollo, for that great presentation. And indeed, we can hear your true farmer, and you know, as we were going through the session, we could hear really what's going on in the background. We have a question. I'd like to send this to you while we look out for others. Teresa Lubano is requesting if you can expound on the value-added products within agribusiness in Kenya. And Kagume Shuri would like you to provide more information on outgrower opportunities for exports. Welcome.
Okay. Now, in terms of value addition, we are looking at the consumer dynamics and especially how there have been changes in Europe. We are having smaller and smaller households. When I joined the industry a few years back, we used to do more or less what was called bulk production. So we would pack products in cartons of 3, 4, 5 kilo, even up to 6 kilo boxes. So products would go to the wholesale market. And currently, with the I think upon the a lot of consumers are moving now towards retail options, and so they are looking for smaller packs, retail packs. Now we are moving away from doing bulk packing into smaller retail packs for either to meet households that have are smaller, or the way they traditionally into currently more elaborate retail sort of shopping. So we have capacity now to start looking at packing into smaller packs, like 100 grams, 200 grams, 250 grams. That's one of the aspects that you're looking at value addition in terms of packing for retail packs, doing retail packs. Secondly, there is also need for ready to eat. People are looking for mixed packs. People are more desirable in identifying products that have several ingredients in the mix. So you have say baby corn. We have baby corn, beans mix. We have mixed packs. We have several. So that's what we're looking at in terms of value addition. And so you want the consumer not to go into the market and start selecting a range of products, but they have very clearly ready, prepared products for them to collect and probably just use to cook. That's one. As far as managing the outgrower issues are concerned, the outgrower model now, if one wants to go and export, still HCD must have what we call the farm verification, or validating that you have a scheme that has the products, and the scheme has to have the relevant articles that I explained earlier as far as the farming model is concerned. So when HCD carries out the vetting process, one must have a contract with the outgrowers, and the outgrowers also have to meet the sufficient food safety requirements through a KEFIS inspection. So still, whether you are doing on farming or farming through outgrowers, the entire system still has to be met accordingly. I think I have tried to disseminate and to answer that correctly, Terry. Thanks.
Thank you, Apollo. We have a few more questions, so let me pose two more, and then we can give somebody an opportunity to speak. We have a few hands up. So as Alvin is requesting, could you share more information on the new products that a startup can focus on? For example, sweet potatoes, ginger, what other opportunities are there to explore? And going hand in hand with that is also destinations to focus on as emerging opportunities. So we can speak a bit about the new products to focus on and the opportunities a startup can explore, as well as destinations. I hope you got that clearly, Apollo.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, with the new products, as I mentioned earlier, is that with the changes in the geopolitics and the issues as far as the competitions and supply issues, China has become not a very favorite supplier to the West, and therefore, as a result of that, it opens certain opportunities as well to suppliers in Kenya, and this is where now the opportunities in sweet potatoes arise. We do export sweet potatoes in the markets, and there's a category of sweet potatoes that is referred to as the orange flesh sweet potatoes. Not just any ordinary sweet potatoes, but there's the orange flesh sweet potato and ginger. We have markets in Europe, in the UK, in the Netherlands, and all that have delivery requirements for sweet potatoes. This is driven through by changing in just the culinary aspects in those countries. So those will be opportunities. And one of the key advantages of sweet potatoes is they are not in terms of growing and establishing, they are not as demanding as your typical horticultural crops. However, the entire system still has to be met that is required by the markets in Europe. One still has to be able to do them under good agricultural practice. One still has to ensure that the environmental aspects are adhered to, and the social compliance to work delivering these products are concerned. Your typical consumer still is not just buying the product, but they're buying what the elements of the product, and the key elements of these products are issues to do with the social compliance, environmental compliance, as well as ensuring good agricultural practice. So those will be your typical requirements for you to be able to attain into these categories. Thanks, Terry.
Okay, thank you for sharing products and destinations. Are there accredited consultants who can assist farmers in securing certification? That is, people who can provide guidelines on GAP standards and other key farm operational guidelines towards getting export certified. That is from Kagume Shuri.
As mentioned earlier, I sit on the board and I chair the board of Fresh Produce Exporters Association of Kenya. So you have access to a very wide data on from the Fresh Produce Exporters Association. So if you visit the fpic.org, you have access to lots of information. I also sit on the board of another organization called COLEACP, COLEACP, which is a liaison committee of importers in Europe and exporters in the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. So again, there we have lots of information as far as the we have quite a bit of access in the FPEAK website and Coleacp website, coleacp.org. We have quite a bit of information and data that we have put in place for experts that would assist any business person or any SME that would like to venture into the exports world. Did you get me there?
Yes, we got you absolutely. Thank you very much. Just to mention, because someone is asking for your contacts, we have now put up Apollo's contacts. You can reach him on the phone number or email. You also can check the live link to know more about Fresh Produce Exporters Association of Kenya. I would like to give an opportunity to two people to actually speak. Bana Apollo, if you're still okay with your network. And before we do that, there's a comment from Alexis Juma, who is saying this is a very timely discussion. He is part of a young agribusiness working around plant-based oils and interested in exports. Are there any markets for this? So that is for Alexis Juma. And then I would like to give right now an opportunity to Evans Odhiambo to ask his question, and you can address it as you address the question I've just read out. Evans, please feel free and mute yourself and speak out.
Hello, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I hope I can be heard.
Loud and clear, we can hear you, yes.
Okay, asante. Apollo, thanks for the presentation. It is quite challenging because it seems to be a very tedious process in doing exportations, especially to overseas countries. But now my question will be about East Africa, because even in East Africa, we are not fully, we don't have everything that we require. Like for instance, in Kenya, sometimes we import from Tanzania. Even Tanzania gets some things from us. We also import rice to Uganda. So I was asking, among East Africa and maybe the countries that are bordering East Africa, do we also have to go through all these processes that you've just mentioned? Because I see Tanzania onions coming into Kenya quite regularly, and I'm not seeing any sort of all these procedures being followed. So I don't know, because some people like us who are maybe starting the farming, we really would not actually focus in overseas countries, but we like to, look around Uganda, Tanzania, what they are lacking and what we can export to them. Maybe go past even Rwanda or even Zimbabwe to, export some things to those sides. So I don't know whether the procedure applies to even the countries around us, or this is basically for overseas countries. Yeah, Sante.
Thank you very much, Evans. So, Mr. Apollo, we have that question as well as the earlier one of plant-based oils and the markets available for that. Over to you. Thank you.
With regards to plant-based oils, these are largely from the aromatic products. Either we are looking at the herbs such as mint, rosemary, thyme, and the likes. I presume that probably what was being asked. And so, first of all, we basically deal a lot with the fresh products. So, but we can make inquiries through the various agencies in outside the country. I will be able to share a link that one can access on, especially if you're doing business in the EU, that would be able to provide you with that. But it's also very critical that information is one has access to information. So through this, we can as one has inquiries, our desk is available and can assist either in providing information in respective countries depending on the products that are being required, because it's a matter of demand and supply issues as well as what is available and what is being requested for in the overseas market. On the regional front, again, as FPIC and others, we have not been very strong in connecting regional business, largely due to the informal nature of the local, especially local. Which, when I say local, I'm trying to imply that local includes our regional markets such as Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and we are trying to come up with a strategy through the East Africa community on how to harness the potential of the regional markets. So this is a strategy that is currently being developed, and we should be able to come up with a very clear roadmap within the next 3 months that can now show what products are in demand in the region, when they are in demand, and how then we can participate within this regional value chains. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have answered all our questions now. Maybe I'll just find out whether you have any parting shot or final words that you'd like to close the entire discussion, and then we will go to the closing protocols. Mr. Apollo, any final remarks on this theme for the day?
Yeah, thanks, Terry. My parting shot, it may look complicated if one is blind. Definitely, when one is blind, you do not know where you are heading. But if you have a guide, I use the example of a blind runner called Wanyoike. You've seen him run various standard chartered marathons, but he has a guide that takes him through the course, and he's been able to break through various barriers and also make certain key records. Those are the kind of you need a holding hand. And I think through Invest Africa and relationship with the organizations like FPIC and COLIACP, you have a valuable partner that can hold your hands to be able to achieve the desired goals. So it's not a scary bit. All the aspects that I've mentioned, we are capable of hitting the target when we know that we have someone to hold our hands and we can reach our destination and break those records. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you too. So there you have it. If you have a guide, if you're in the right hands, it is not as complicated as it looks. And once you begin, then you'll be glad you started, and tomorrow you'll be someone else's guide. So asante sana, Mr. Awar. I'd like also to extend gratitude to the participants. Thank you all for joining us, SMEs in agribusiness. You're really driving a very key sector here in Kenya, not just in terms of job creation, but also in terms of food security. So we really are behind you to support you and to ensure that you can reach your ultimate potential, both as individuals and as companies. So we look forward to working with you. Thank you for coming on board for the masterclass, and also for your very vibrant participation through questions, through comments, and we look forward to continue engaging with you. Please reach out to us and be a part of Biashara.now. Also subscribe to YouTube and catch every other masterclass and different sessions we have had. And finally, my gratitude, of course, to the Invest in Africa team for putting together this session.